So tilt the steering wheel down using that lever all the way. Cover is off. Now undo this bracket with all the hot wires. Two prongs. And then pull out the ground wires in this hole right here. Next step is to remove the center bolt. I think it's supposed to be a 15/16 socket, but I don't have one with me, so I'm just using a pair of wrench to pull it off. Mine wasn't too tight, but it looks like it's been pulled off before, so not sure about everyone else's. You've got the nut off, you can install the steering wheel puller. I rented from the auto parts store, like so. So just tighten these into their holes to get snug quick, and then you will tighten this guy all the way down until it starts to pull the steering wheel. And here it comes pulling off. So it looks like we've got one piece here that you can see moving when I shake the blinker handle, and then the black piece here, this whole top piece, has to come out after that, and that's going to include this ignition cylinder. So I think what I'm going to do is unscrew this blinker handle, and then I think I need to remove this bolt, definitely this screw right there, and this screw right here. So these two first, and then see if I can pull this out. If not, then I may have to remove this bolt, possibly have to remove this screw to get this first big bunch of wires and plastic pieces out. Okay, so all I had to do was remove the screw here and the screw right here, and then work on the hazard blinker, and then maybe even come around up in this hole that we've got to help kind of pry this piece out gently. And actually, I think these wires in here are too tight to actually pull this plastic piece out like I wanted to. You can see here, I mean, it's not really coming, so I'm going to try to remove this whole piece. And I got to the screw that is right there. Just loosened it, and then I used this magnet to get in there. Oops. To get back in there and grab the screw from that hole so it doesn't fall down. No big deal if it does. And then if we look closely, we'll see this is still not coming out. It seems tight at the bottom. So back behind this hazard switch, it's going to be real hard to see here. There's another screw. Right there it is. Right there. So I'm just going to get the screwdriver, magnet, same thing, try to take that one out. And just a note that before getting any of this stuff off, I'm just going to go ahead and remove this little bitty screw from this black wire here that looks like it kind of attaches and mates with the ignition cylinder piece. Okay, so yeah, I unscrewed this little piece that goes around the hazard light and goes into the cylinder there. And then I figured out I do need to get this off because I think there's some more going on to get this big piece off. So then if you look up under the dash, up under here, the wires were too tight. So you'll find, it's hard to see, but there's a black big wire harness that just feeds all the way up in there into the steering column. If you just kind of pull and tug on that, give yourself some more slack there in the wire so you can get this bad boy off, and then we can see what we're working with. Okay, so see, I think there is a snap ring right there at the base of that shaft that I'm gonna have to remove for sure. If I find anything else before I can remove this piece, I'll let you know. And at the bottom there is another screw right there, right here, that we'll have to take out and then remove the snap ring. So that's a total of 3 screws that come out to get this big black piece off. And that's gonna be the ones that feed at the top here, and then one, actually excuse me, at the top up here, and then one the bottom right there, and then this last one should be the last one bottom left right there after you get this plastic piece off, and then the snap ring. So now I've removed all the screws from the back end, and then if you look, when I pull this off, there's a piece that is obviously broken right there, fell to the bottom, and that is the arm of the new actuator. So that is that curved piece right there. That's obviously broken, so that is the problem. And I'm not sure if that's broken too. Oh, that's the other, that's where it broke off of. Okay. Looks like someone makeshifted that insert, so I think this has been done before. I think that actuator clicks onto that piece. And I might take this wheel cylinder out, or this ignition cylinder, just to see if it's good or bad, kind of inspect it, see if I need a new one. But yeah, there it is. That's the top piece, and I'm going to remove that and then figure out how to place the new one in. Okay, so now the top of the actuator, like I said, someone had makeshifted kind of a pin, so if this is your first time doing it, I assume there's going to be a different kind of pin in there. Someone's done it before. So I just straightened it up, and then I'm pulling that out, and that's going to allow the last little piece of the actuator to pull off so I can install the new one. There's my pin. And then I should be able to get this off. Somehow. I'm just gonna pull this rod up, and then you can pull the other piece out. Yeah, so once you've pulled the pin, if you're having trouble pulling this out, it's because you've got the key lock right there. That's what locks this out, so you can't pull your key out. It makes it also so you can't pull the actuator out. So then just push this, obviously, down, and then out comes this guy. Boom. Let's pop a new one in. And if you do any YouTube searching, around the forums, you'll see that you can't stick this in with this bracket on here at all. I mean, there's no way anyone's figured out how to get it in. Try to put it straight in, you can't, there's no way to do it. So I think what needs to happen next is pull this snap ring I had mentioned earlier, pull that guy off, and that'll let this release. After, I believe you have to put a machine screw, I'll try to find a bolt the right size in there and pull that pin. And then same thing on this side, passenger side, put one in there and then pull that out. So I'm going to figure out how to pull those two, and I think once you get those three, you might be able to remove and at least just slide this big piece out, enough to at least squeeze the new actuator in there. So I'm actually, to pull these out, I didn't even need to go figure out what kind of screw we needed. They're solid in the back, so I just use this punch here and have a hammer on me, and it's raining outside, so just use this punch, put it through the back side of it, and you can punch it out little by little. Should be the same for the other side. Okay, so took the two pins out of the side, just punched them out from behind. No big deal, just took a second. And then this spring right here is what helps the tilt. Like when you pull the lever, it kind of helps you tilt it up and down. And I know people have said that that's a big, huge pain to try to get back if you have to remove this whole thing. So I've just backed off the snap ring little by little, and then slowly kind of scooted this down and out, little by little, until I can get this guy in there. And then this spring did pop kind of loudly when I got at that last leg to get this in there, so it may be a little bit of a pain to put back on, but we'll see. At least the broken part is officially replaced now. And then I just have to stick this lever right here back in its hole right there, and then put my makeshift pin back through the top so it doesn't come out, and then I'll work on pushing this back on, and then we'll reassemble. Okay, so before we push this whole bracket back up into the column and make everything attach and tighten up that snap ring, we have to push the wires and all the harnesses through the black piece that we took off. So get all that pushed in. Okay, so now time to reassemble everything. Quick note, the hardest part so far, you'll see the actuator in there, put a new pin. The hardest part was trying to get the piece from the key, from the ignition cylinder. When you spin it, it kind of moves, was to get it to click in and click on to the black piece of the new actuator. Sorry, tough to see. But this is the old piece right here, and it's kind of exactly how the new piece sits. But this pin right there, that little black pin, has to stick down inside of the piece I showed you earlier. Let's see if I can shine the light. In there. So yeah, kind of hard to see, but that's the curve of the actuator. And just get that black pin in there, just kind of wiggle it and play with it for a while. Once you get that in there, then you are good to put everything back on, including step one. And I just reassembled everything and forgot, but put your pins back in. So the pins, kind of tough to get it aligned, but once you do, push it in there by hand, and then just use a punch that you used to punch it out if that's the way you did it, and hammer them back in. And you want to take your 3 black screws, like we said before when we took it off. One right there, one right there, the bottom, and then one right there, bottom left. Then you want to take your smallest little screw that you have, and put it in right there where we took it out. This black wire here goes in that little hole right there underneath the cylinder. Alright, so that's in, and the other screws are in. Use your last 2 silver screws. And then you're gonna find the obvious screw holes, one right there, by that blinker switch. Screw those in. And screw your blinker switch back in its hole here. Alright, and then check that everything works good, feels tight. We can practice with the tilt. And then all we have to do is put the steering wheel back on. You can see that my tilt is in good working shape. The spring is all good because when I tilt it, boom, clicks up. So the spring is fine. No need to remove that and mess it up. Your teeth, slide your wheel back on, put the big nut back on, tighten it up. Obviously you won't need your steering wheel puller again. We already returned that to the auto parts store. Then tighten this guy back up. Okay, now I just have to plug in my black wires to that hole there, and then plug in these two clips, colorful wires, and the two clips right there, like so. Now you kind of click this cover on, and then we'll come around to the screws back behind it. Last two screws. And it's on. Let's see if she works. Do note that you should have had your battery off throughout this whole process. There are all my lights, gauges back on. I've got the push button installed. Let's see. There she is. Back to new. Hope that helped.